Hey there, I'm a fresh face in the writing world and on YouTube, so I'd really appreciate it if you could check out my novel and give me some support. It means a ton to me. Your encouragement would be super helpful as I'm just starting out. Thanks a bunch. The Last Author, Volume 1. The First Draft. Chapter 1. A Boy Who Loves Stories. The rain had always sounded different inside a library. Not louder, not softer, just older. Every drop that tapped against the stained glass windows seemed to carry echoes from another age, blending with the faint rustle of turning pages and the scent of yellowing paper. For Elias Rowan, there was no place more comforting. He pushed a cart piled high with returned books through the narrow aisles, humming quietly to himself as he sorted each one into its proper place. History, fantasy, science, poetry. His fingers paused over a worn, leather-bound novel, whose title had nearly faded away. The Kingdom Beyond the Last Page. A smile crept onto his face. Someone finally borrowed you, he murmured. Mrs. Eleanor Hart, the head librarian, looked up from her desk. You know, she said with a chuckle, most people your age spend their weekends glued to their phones. Elias slid the novel carefully onto the shelf. And miss this place? Never. As he reached for another book, the polished glass of a nearby cabinet caught his reflection. At 21 years old, Elias Rowan carried himself with a quiet confidence that often went unnoticed. He stood around 6 feet tall, his lean frame shaped more by long hours of lifting books than by any time spent in a gym. His dark brown hair was slightly tousled, refusing to stay neat no matter how often he brushed it back, while thoughtful hazel eyes seemed to linger on every detail others overlooked. A faint scar rested just above his right eyebrow, a childhood souvenir he rarely spoke about. His simple charcoal hoodie, faded jeans, and worn sneakers blended into the background, making him look like just another face in the crowd. There was nothing extraordinary about his appearance. Yet, whenever he became lost in a story, an unmistakable spark lit his eyes, as though he belonged more to the worlds inside books than to the one around him. She laughed. I've said it before. You were born in the wrong century. Maybe. He wasn't joking. When he was 6 years old, his father had taken him to this very library for the first time. Every book is another life, his father had told him. If you learn enough stories, you'll never truly be lost. It became their tradition. Every Saturday. One book, one story. Until the accident. Elias blinked away the memory before it could settle. Some stories were still too painful to reread. At exactly 6 o'clock, he finished his shift. Mrs. Hart handed him a small envelope. This week's pay. Thank you. And she smiled before sliding another book across the counter. You've earned your borrowing privilege. His eyes widened. You found it. She nodded. I had to search the storage room. The cover was old, far older than the books displayed on the public shelves. Its pages had darkened with age. There was no title, only a single symbol pressed into the leather, a feather wrapped around a circle of stars. Strange. He couldn't remember seeing that symbol before. You've read almost everything else, Mrs. Hart said. Maybe this one will surprise you. Elias carefully slipped the book into his backpack. I'll take good care of it. I know you will. Outside, the evening air smelled of rain. The streets were busy with people hurrying home beneath umbrellas. Elias walked toward the small apartment he shared with his family. Before reaching the building, he stopped at a bakery. One loaf, please. The elderly shopkeeper smiled. Working again today? Like always. You're a good kid. Elias only smiled. He never knew how to answer compliments like that. The apartment was tiny. The wallpaper peeled at the corners. The kitchen light flickered whenever someone used the microwave. Yet, somehow, it always felt warm. I'm home. A blur raced toward him. Big brother! Lily nearly knocked him over with her hug. You promised we'd finish the pirate story tonight. I remember. You forgot yesterday. I came home late. So tonight, he laughed. Tonight. From the kitchen, Clara Rowan smiled wearily. Wash your hands first. Dinner's almost ready. How was work? Quiet. The usual. She noticed the old book peeking from his backpack. Another one? It was in storage. She shook her head with an amused smile. I don't think there's a single unread book left in that library. Elias grinned. That's exactly what I keep hoping to prove wrong. Later that night, Lily lay tucked beneath her blanket while Elias sat beside her bed with an adventure novel open in his hands. He changed voices for every character: the pirate captain, the dragon, the frightened prince. Lily giggled at every exaggerated performance. When the chapter ended, she yawned. You know, she whispered sleepily, I like your stories more than the books. Elias smiled. That's because I make too many sound effects. No, she hugged her pillow. I think one eye had already closed. One day, you'll write the greatest story ever. A few moments later, she was asleep. Elias quietly closed the bedroom door. Near midnight, unable to resist his curiosity, he pulled the strange, untitled book from his backpack. The leather cover felt strangely warm. He frowned. That's odd. He opened it. The first page was blank. The second page, blank. The third, blank. Every page, empty. He sighed. So it's just an old notebook? As he prepared to close it, a cold breeze drifted through his room. The window was shut. The curtains didn't move. Yet one page turned by itself. Then another. Then another. The book stopped exactly in the middle. Across the once empty page, black ink slowly spread like ripples across water. Words began to appear, not written by any visible hand, but written all the same. Elias watched in frozen silence as the sentence completed itself. Every story begins with a reader. The room became unnaturally quiet. Then, somewhere in the darkness beyond his window, something blinked. Not a person, not an animal, an eye. Watching. End of chapter 1. Hey, if you could, please like, share, and subscribe. That'd be awesome.